Albert Gene Collins was a renowned American electric blues guitarist, vocalist and songwriter known for his unique guitar technique, who stands as a towering figure in the realm of blues, particularly Texas blues, of which he was a pioneer. His unique sound and dynamic performances have left an indelible mark on the music world. His use of a capo, unconventional tunings and a powerful, sharp and ferocious right-hand technique using his thumb and index finger to pluck the strings created a unique ice pick-like sound, giving him the nickname of the Iceman. His defining use of the Fender Telecaster also earned him the moniker the Master of the Telecaster. Albert Collins was born in Leona, Texas on October 1st, 1932. He was introduced to the guitar at family gatherings by his cousin, the influential country blues singer and guitarist Lightning Hopkins. His family moved around Texas from Leona to Marquez in 1938. Then they settled in Houston in 1941, where Albert attended the Jack Yates High School. Starting with piano lessons, his love of the guitar soon took over. His cousin Willow Young taught him the altered tuning that became a signature of his style, an open F minor chord. That's F, C, F, A flat, C, F. That would be the root, the fifth, the root, the minor third, the fifth and the root again. Often using a capo at the 5th, 6th or 7th fret, this combination also, later with an open D minor chord, a D-A-D, F-A-D, became one of the most important elements of his unique sound. And after hearing Boogie Chillin' by John Lee Hooker at the age of 16, Collins decided to fully dedicate himself to mastering the guitar. Collins' rise to international blues stardom was not a rapid or easy one. Like many blues musicians of the time, and despite his burgeoning talent, Collins worked full-time jobs to support himself. He worked as a painter for 4 years at a ranch in Normandy, Texas, and 12 years as a truck driver. For instance, in 1971, at the age of 39 years old, even after touring extensively, releasing several acclaimed albums, and helping shape blues guitar playing of the era, he worked in construction in order to make ends meet. Starting his own band, the Rhythm Rockers, at the age of 18, Collins honed his craft using an Epiphone electric. In 1952, upon witnessing Clarence Gatemouth Brown performing using a Fender Esquire, Collins was so impressed with Clarence's remarkable, clean, sharp, precise and articulate sound that he made the decision to acquire a Fender guitar. Although he initially desired a Telecaster, he opted out of necessity for the more affordable Esquire, later adding a Telecaster neck pickup, which was installed by the Parker Music Company in Houston. Collins continued to use his modified Fender Esquire, including recording his classic signature tune Frosty, until he relocated to California in 1972. In 1954, a 17-year-old Texas blues guitarist and singer Johnny Copeland joined the 22-year-old Collins in the Rhythm Rockers. Johnny had recently departed from the Dukes of Rhythm, a band he had formed with Houston blues guitarist Joe Guitar Hughes. Johnny and Albert would later collaborate again with Robert Cray for the 1986 Grammy Award-winning album Showdown. In 1958, at the age of 25 years old, Collins got to record his first single, although he didn't get to release his first album until 1965, with the Cool Sound of Albert Collins. Collins had begun playing regularly at Shady's Playhouse in Houston, performing at the Blue Monday Jams. He would join James Widemouth Brown, brother of Clarence Gatemouth Brown, and other renowned Houston blues musicians, and by the mid-50s he had solidified his reputation as a talented local guitarist and was a regular performer at Walter's Lounge in the Fifth Ward with Big Tiny and the Thunderbirds. In 1958, Henry Hayes, a local saxophonist and music teacher, had heard about Collins from Joe Guitar Hughes. Harry was impressed with Collins after watching him perform live, and he brought Collins to Kangaroo Records, a label he had co-founded with M.L. Young. Collins recorded Freeze along with Collins Shuffle at Gold Star Studios in Houston in the spring of 1958. Hayes played saxophone. Texas blues bands frequently included horn sections during this era, and Collins acknowledged Hayes for teaching him how to arrange for horns, a skill he subsequently used to great effect.
So now we're going to take a look at some Albert Collins, and we're going to look at Frosty. The 6th string is tuned to an F, the 5th string is tuned to C, the 4th string is tuned to F, the 3rd string is tuned to A flat, the 2nd string is tuned to C, and the top string is tuned to F. Albert didn't play with the traditional fingerstyle technique. He relied mainly on his first finger, and he could get a lot of speed out of this. He would rake across the strings, but he would also use his thumb as well. He would play these little kind of ghosting notes on the lower strings. He would play a note and then play a lick. Let's check out the opening phrase. This little lick occurs a couple of times. It's a hammer-on and pull-off figure. You're playing 11, 12, 11, and then open on the G string. On to the next figure, we're going to pedal off of the 11th fret A to the open D. And then let's put the two licks together, the question and the answer. Next question and answer phrasing, we have this opening lick, which we'd already seen. And then we have this phrase, which is probably the hardest phrase. These rakes, he's so rhythmical with them. The next phrase, we're going to be on the B string. We've got some blues scale going on. And then, okay, let's put that together.
Albert Collins recorded one of the most important blues instrumental songs ever written, one of his own compositions, Frosty, at Gulf Coast Recording Studio in Beaumont, Texas, for Hall Records in 1964. Bill Hall, the owner of Hall Records, had signed Collins based on the recommendation of Cowboy Jack Clement, a songwriter and producer who had worked with Jerry Lee Lewis and Johnny Cash at Sun Records. The debut album, The Cool Sound of Albert Collins, said to be a favourite album of Jimi Hendrix, was released in 1965 on the TCF Hall label. Along with the 1964 single Frosty, the album featured a total of 9 previously released instrumentals, recorded in 1962 and 63, such as Thaw Out, Snow Cone, and Don't Lose Your Cool. Icy Blue, Call Aid and Shiver and Shake date to the April 1965 sessions. Collins sings on Dying Flu, which is possibly his first recorded vocal.
Well, I'm dying with the flu.
On June the 19th, 1968, the group Canned Heat was playing in Houston at the Music Hall when they heard from a friend that Collins was playing at the Ponderosa Club. They were huge fans and went down to the show. After Collins had finished playing, they introduced themselves and offered to help him secure an agent for him, as well as an introduction to the record label Imperial Records in California. Armed with the offer of a record deal and regular live work, Collins decided to move, firstly relocating in July 1968 to Kansas City, where he played in keyboardist Lawrence Wright's organ trio. And then, in November of 1968, he moved to Palo Alto, California. For his 1968 Imperial album, Collins chose the title Love Can Be Found Anywhere, Even in a Guitar, from the lyrics of Canned Heat's Fried Hockey Boogie, in honour of Canned Heat and their lead singer Bob Hite, who wrote the liner notes for the album. In the spring of 1969, Collins was hired by Bob Krasnow to play on Ike and Tina Turner's album The Hunter, which was released by Krasnow and former A&M Records executives Tommy LaPuma and Don Graham's Blue Thumb Records. Collins' move to California proved fruitful, solidifying his presence on the West Coast circuit, playing at the Fillmore West and the Whiskey A Go-Go, at the Newport 69 Festival in Northridge in June, opening for the Grateful Dead and Family Dog on the Great Highway in San Francisco in August, and the Gold Rush Festival in Lake Amador, California in October. In December 1969, Blue Thumb Records reissued his debut album, The Cool Sound of Albert Collins, as Trucking with Albert Collins. In November 1971, Albert Collins released the album There's Gotta Be a Change on the Denver label Tumbleweed Records, founded by Larry Ray and producer Bill Szymczyk. Produced and engineered by Szymczyk, the album was the label's inaugural release and featured a host of A-list musicians such as Jim Keltner, Jesse Ed Davis, Jim Horn, Dr. John, and many more. In February of 1972, the single Get Your Business Straight from the album was released, although unfortunately due to financial issues, Tumbleweed closed its doors in 1973.
Get your business straight, baby. Tired of fooling around with you.
Collins worked in construction to make a living, until with encouragement from his wife Gwen, he transitioned back to music in the late 1970s. In 1978, he found a new home at Alligator Records under the guidance of Bruce Iglauer and the recommendation of Dick Sherman. Noteworthy milestones continued for Collins, including his first international performance in February of 1978 with the Dutch band Barrelhouse. The concert, captured for the Dutch TV show Tros Seizoen, highlighted his magnetic stage presence and musical prowess. This memorable event was later released on vinyl in 1979, solidifying Collins' impact beyond borders.
A sweet home from Chicago.
Collins' musical style was defined by his exceptional guitar skills and his ability to fuse traditional blues with a modern edge. His guitar chords often stretched as long as 100 feet, allowing him to move freely around the stage while maintaining a strong connection with the audience. This unique approach to performance set him apart from his contemporaries. He was known for his distinctive voice, which has conveyed a wide range of emotions. Songs like I Ain't Drunk exemplified his ability to blend humour with poignant storytelling. Collins' lyrics often reflected his own life experiences, resonating with listeners on a personal level.
I don't care what the people are thinking. I ain't drunk. I'm just drinking.
Now we're going to take a look at the introduction to I Ain't Drunk. We have a fast hammer. He kind of very often with his thumb would grab at those low notes, just filling in the gaps between phrases. So we have this phrase. And then he uses his thumb to play the second fret. And then we're going... on to the next section. And then we're going to play the low, muted, low, open sixth string, but with our thumb. And this is a common lick that you'll hear. We conclude this section with another aggressive lick. You're going... in between, and then we have and then play the open D string, and then we have the open G. Okay, let's take a look at the closing section of the solo. We start off with that fretted note with our thumb. Little pull-off figure we've seen. We're sliding from the minor third up to the major third and pulling off to the open D. Onto the final lick. Slide with your third finger and pull off on the D. And then can we finish off?
In 1985, he performed at the Live Aid concert in Philadelphia, playing with George Thorogood and the Destroyers. As the only black blues artist at the event, Collins brought his distinctive sound to a global audience, watched by an estimated 1.5 billion people across 150 countries. This made it one of the most watched television events in history. In December 1986, Collins appeared in a concert alongside Etta James and Joe Walsh at the Wilton Theatre in Los Angeles. This memorable event was captured on video and released as Jazz Vision's Jump the Blues Away.
Sweet angel, oh, tell me.
On the 12th of February 1987, Collins appeared as a musical guest on the NBC talk show Late Night with David Letterman. Later that same year, he made a cameo appearance in the comedy film Adventures in Babysitting.
There are nights you swear you were born to lose, like tonight.
Additionally, in 1987, he collaborated with the talented American composer John Zorn on the suite titled Two Lane Highway, which was later released on Zorn's album Spillane. On April the 22nd, 1988, Albert Collins performed at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival alongside B.B. King, Eric Clapton and Stevie Ray Vaughan. The group played aboard the steamboat President as it cruised along the Mississippi River, honouring the rich musical heritage of New Orleans. This tribute celebrated legendary artists like Fate Marable, Louis Armstrong and Red Allen, who had once entertained passengers on the Streckfuss Brothers fleet of riverboats. In 1991, Albert Collins signed with Point Blank Records, a subsidiary of Virgin Records, and released the album Iceman that same year. Bruce Iglauer, founder of Alligator Records, expressed disappointment at Collins' departure, but acknowledged that their arrangement had always been on a record-to-record basis. On October the 15th in 1991, Collins performed alongside Robert Cray, Steve Cropper and Dave Edmunds at the Guitar Legends event in Seville, a series of concerts promoting the upcoming Seville Expo 92.
When your eye on another view, you can see just like me.
On October the 28th, Collins was filmed in concert for the television programme Austin City Limits. The performance aired on February the 21st, 1992 and was later released on DVD in April 2008 as Albert Collins Live from Austin, Texas. In 1992, he had been invited to play the Legends of Guitar Festival at the World Expo, further cementing his reputation as a guitar virtuoso. His performances during this period were characterised by a raw intensity that captivated audiences and left a lasting impression.
Right now, we'd like to bring on a good friend of all of ours, a guy I like to listen to a whole lot, and I have in the past, a real good friend, Mr. Albert Collins.
In 1993, Collins played at the Point Blank Borderline Blues Festival in London, which ran from March 17th to March 27th, marking his final UK appearance. In 1983, Collins won a W.C. Handy Award in the Best Contemporary Blues Album category for his Alligator release Don't Lose Your Cool. In 1986, Collins won a Grammy Award with Robert Cray and Johnny Copeland for their album Showdown. In 1987, Collins received a Grammy nomination for Best Traditional Blues Recording for Cold Snap, his seventh album on Alligator, which featured Jimmy McGriff, one of Collins' early musical idols with whom Collins had played with in Kansas City, Missouri in 1966. His final album was posthumously nominated for Best Contemporary Blues Album at the 38th Grammy Awards in 1996.
Wise man, lady, not here to cool you down.
Despite his successes, Collins faced significant health challenges later in life. While performing at the Palais Festival in Nyon, Switzerland in July 1993, Collins fell ill. He was diagnosed with lung cancer. This diagnosis was a devastating blow, and he passed away shortly thereafter at the age of only 61. His death marked the end of an era, but his legacy lives on through his music. The impact of Collins on the blues genre cannot be overstated. His innovative guitar techniques and powerful performances have inspired countless musicians. Artists across various genres cite Collins as a major influence, highlighting his contributions to the evolution of blues music. Collins' legacy is evident in the work of contemporary blues artists who continue to draw inspiration from his style. His ability to connect with audiences through his music has paved a way for future generations to explore and expand upon the blues tradition.
If trouble was money, babe, I swear I'd be a millionaire.
Albert Collins, the Iceman of Texas blues, remains a legendary figure in the music world. His journey from Leona, Texas to international fame is a testament to his talent, determination and passion for music. Through his remarkable career, Collins not only left a lasting legacy, but also helped to shape the future of blues music. As we reflect upon his life and contributions, we are reminded of the power of music to transcend boundaries and connect people. Albert Collins' story is one of resilience and artistry, and his music will continue to inspire and resonate with audiences for generations to come. Seeing Albert Collins live at the Town and Country Club in 1990 was one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. Albert was amazing on stage. His engagement with the audience was so genuine. In retrospect, it feels like this was his natural habitat. The place he felt most comfortable, completely in his element, where he called the shots and where he held the audience in the palm of his hands. I'd heard that he would leave the stage while playing in order to fully interact with the crowd. He didn't disappoint. Using an extended guitar cable, he ventured into the crowd, and it was exhilarating. Albert's voice, guitar playing, songwriting, and his innate command of the audience during the show is etched indelibly on my mind. Thank you for the great music, Albert Collins, and if you don't know him or his music, rectify that now and go and check him out.